The San Francisco 49ers just got surprisingly good news in a lost season, if we're totally frank about it. And I can't wait to tell you about this good news, but I just wanted to stop and say thank you so much. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you for subscribing and hitting that like button and commenting on videos. I just love engaging with you guys and seeing what you guys' perspectives are. So many different perspectives out there. So very much appreciate you. If you're new here, I'm Nate. And if you're looking for daily 49ers content, hit that subscribe button. So we are already laser focused on 2025. And we got to start off with this very important question. What would you do if you are Kyle Shanahan right now? Do you start or sit Brock Purdy? Comment below what you would do right now. Start him or sit him. And that goes along with a couple of factors. Number one, are you starting and sitting all of the major guys? Like, are you saying to Fred Warner, I don't care that you want to play, you're sitting. George Kittle, I don't care that you want to play, you're sitting. Nick Bosa, I don't care if this is, figuring out who everybody is, sit him, you're not playing either. I mean, is that where you're at? Let me know in the comments on that one. I think the other factor that's really interesting for Brock Purdy specifically is what can we get out of Brock Purdy with this offensive line? This is a huge factor. The 49ers practice observations from Cam Inman yesterday. Offensive line players that are missing, of course, Trent Williams, he's on IR. Jalen Moore, he's on IR. He's his backup, obviously. Aaron Banks is on his way to IR. And then Spencer Burford, of course, and, guard, tackle. I mean, he's everywhere. Spencer Burford would have been valuable in any of these available positions if we could have had him, but he's not. And then we just learned that Colton McKivitz is out as well. So, my goodness, the 49ers have a lot of guys down right now, and the 49ers are going to have... It's going to be a bandaged offensive line. Do you want to risk, if Brock Purdy is your guy, if Brock Purdy's your guy going forward, if you believe we're paying him big money, all that good stuff, do you want to risk putting him back there against that offensive line? Or do you look at Brock Purdy and say, there's an opportunity here, this is good for you, yada, yada, yada. So I'm looking forward to see what you have to say about that. Despite this really bad season, Brock Purdy ranks 80 in his overall offensive PFF grade and ranks 4th out of 69 quarterbacks per PFF in rushing grade at 89.6. And the fact is, this is not what we want to see, of course, but Brock Purdy has had to scramble for his life all season long, and I suppose there is a benefit in terms of what he's learning and how he's growing in that particular skill set. This is a really interesting move. I look forward to seeing what you have to say about it and what you're thinking. I would start Brock Purdy, but I think it's because of something that Kyle Shanahan said just the other day. And there was a really great article by Kyle Madsen from Niners Wire on this, and so I want to give him credit for this. But starting the season, the anticipation for Brock Purdy and for the 49ers was absolutely through the roof. Brock Purdy finally gets his full offseason, fully healthy, his real first chance at being the QB1 with a full offseason to prepare. And, you pick up a wide receiver in the first round and you're thinking, man, the 49ers are going after it. Regardless of how star-studded this offense already is, the 49ers are getting after it, and they're going and picking up other guys out there who are going to contribute, you think, this season. And that was the anticipation, and it turned into something completely different. And there is a fair question, and how much of that is Brock Purdy's responsibility? How much of that is responsibility to the offensive line, who has been dealing with injuries from training camp throughout the entire season, okay? And then you add to that, the offensive line play for certain guys like Jake Brendel has just gotten worse. You get some extra help from guys like Colton McKivitz, who've played better this season compared to last season, but still not good enough, revolving door at times. So the 49ers, despite getting very, I don't want to say lucky, but I think better than expected results out of Dominic Puni, despite that, the 49ers offensive line has been a huge regression this season. And for any quarterback, that's a lot to go through. But then you add to that the defense, and several games when the offense did play well, that the defense could not hold up the game, hold the team together, giving up games in the fourth quarter, that kind of stuff. Then you add to that special teams having basically one major blunder 13 times this season. At least. Now, you could go beyond that, but 13 major blunders, in my opinion, seemed like every single game there was one big thing that you could point to the special teams and say, you messed that up, and that was a difference maker for the team. Too many games in the NFL are like one-score games, and you just can't have those types of mistakes happen on a regular basis. Now, Here's what Kyle Shanahan said for those of you that missed it. He's in a more challenging situation this year, talking about Brock. He's got 2 more weeks of it. I think it's going to end up being really good for him in the long run. That's surprisingly good news for me, thinking about that perspective shift and what we're getting out of Brock in this tough season. I thought he played at such a high level in some situations last year that some were good and easier, but then some were tough. Just like even both playoff games, some of the situations we were in, and him leading us back to end up winning both of those and go to the Super Bowl. He continues. I think this year, just having a number of his guys down and things like that has been harder on him, but usually that stuff can make you better. I think he's fought through it all year. He's got 2 more weeks to fight through it, and hopefully we can still improve in these 2 weeks and then get to the film in the offseason. I think there's something here, and I want to get to what Kyle Madsen said too, because I thought there were some really good, insightful points in his article, but I want to also pause and say this. We'll never be able to know who Brock Purdy could have been this season, right? We never knew, but we know Kyle Shanahan was just interviewed with NBC, as he does every single week, and in his interview, something that I thought was really interesting, I should have grabbed the clip for you, and I'm sorry I didn't. Something that he said that was really interesting to me was how Brandon Aiyuk is always number 1 in how they're scheming, right? And so in those reads, Brandon Aiyuk is that first read, and I think that's a fascinating position just in general when you think about what Brock Purdy's doing and where he's looking. I don't think Kyle Shanahan meant to say 100% of the time he's always the first read, but I think what he meant is in that game against the Detroit Lions, in the playoff game, whatever. All of that being said, it does make sense, though, why Brandon Aiyuk being down and not being himself at the beginning of the season, then just being gone completely is kind of crazy. It's really crazy to see what Brock Purdy has been able to do despite having different guys in and out throughout the season. Guys like Deebo Samuel, guys who are dropping balls. I mean, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, they both have had significant drops. And then you had George Kittle, who was in and out, and he's been incredible this season. And unfortunately for the 49ers, they're not the type of offense that is a go to that guy 100 times kind of team. That means that Brock Purdy doesn't have his guaranteed number 1 George Kittle. That's the guy I'm always throwing to, and because of that, he's going to be spreading the ball around, and you're going to have guys like Ronnie Bell have a big drop. That makes a big difference in the game. That could have been a game they won that they ended up losing, all of that kind of stuff. There's a lot there, okay? That being said, let's get to what Kyle Madsen said, because I thought this was interesting. Purdy's top playmakers have all missed varying amounts of time this season. Running back Christian McCaffrey played in only 4 games. Wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk got only 7 games in before sustaining a season-ending knee injury. Purdy's offensive line has also been a mess because of injuries to multiple starters and backups. It's hard to fully blame him for a dip in virtually every traditional statistic. The key now will be whether he actually can take lessons and learn to adapt to a less than perfect situation. That's pause there, Kyle. Fantastic point. Because it's not fair to just talk about the injuries and then leave it there. Can Brock Purdy continue to improve and grow into a quarterback that can handle these types of situations and be effective in these types of situations? We saw that with guys like Kurt Warner. Okay, continuing on. If the 49ers are going to make him their franchise quarterback who makes upwards of $55 million per year, he's going to have to be a player who can better overcome the type of offensive adversity the team faced this year. And I agree completely. Totally fair. So going back to the original question and commenting, I hope you commented below by now on whether or not you would start or sit Brock Purdy. I think part of this is like, even if you're going to pay him, you need to start Brock Purdy because you need him to learn how to become a better quarterback week in and week out in situations where half of your offensive line, potentially more than half of your offensive line, will not be on the field. And you're looking at Jake Brendel and Dominic Pooney being your only starters, and Jake Brendel is the lowest graded center, one of the lowest graded centers in the NFL, and his grade number, last I checked, was like 38 out of 42 or something like that. So that's a problem. When you're below 32, that's not a good situation. Anyways, the point being, Brock Purdy needs this opportunity, And he needs opportunities like this to improve as a quarterback and to learn as a quarterback how to play through these types of adverse situations against tough teams on Monday Night Football when they have something to prove. They have a lot to prove, actually. They cannot wait to go to San Francisco and to get after the 49ers. And I believe they're going to be coming with a lot of fire, and I think it's going to be an ugly game, unfortunately. But all good learning situations for Brock Purdy, especially since everybody believes Kyle Shanahan, this is Kyle Shanahan's guy, and he's going to ride with him, which means he's either going to ride with him and it's going to be a great thing, or he's probably on his way out after that. I mean, that's kind of the situation it seems to be developing. If he pays Brock Purdy big money, and in the next couple of years, it's just continually bad football, then he's going to be gone. Like that's the reality. I don't want that personally, but I do believe that's the way that this is going to go if he is choosing Brock Purdy as his ride or die. So all of that being said, and I'm a Brock Purdy fan. I don't think I'm quite an apologist, but I do really like Brock Purdy. I do tend to be on the keep Brock Purdy side of the argument in most cases. And I do believe that we've seen some bad stuff from Brock Purdy, and I'm excited for his opportunity going forward to see how he can develop and grow and learn from this situation. This has been a horrible season from so many angles, and it would be really incredible if we could see Brock Purdy develop kind of like what we never really got out of Alex Smith, for example. It would be really nice to see that Kansas City Chiefs Alex Smith, right? I'd like to see Brock Purdy develop into, I know they're different quarterbacks, different skill sets. I get it, okay? But I would really like to see Brock Purdy continue to evolve and show that he was the right decision, that it was the right move to pay this guy who's given way more than his value since he's been here, of course. It would be awesome. That's just my personal take. I look forward to seeing what you guys think in the comments. We're just 2 days away from the Detroit Lions coming to town. It's going to be a massive game in Santa Clara, and I'm not exactly excited for the negative side of what we're probably gonna see, but I am excited. I love Monday Night Football. We all do love Monday Night Football, and I'm still going to be there watching, cheering them on, and hoping the best for Brock Purdy and company. It's nice to know that we got Isaac Guerendo back. That just happened. I should have put a graphic up on that one, so my bad on that one. But we have Isaac Guerendo back. That'll be good for him to get more reps at the starting position. So I'm feeling optimistic about 2025, and I'm feeling optimistic about how this game and games like this are going to play into 2025 and help us get a clearer picture on, did we get something special? I don't know if he's even going to play, but did we get anything special out of Hennessy? Is he going to be a guy that next year we're going to actually see him in the starting lineup for the 49ers? It'll be really interesting to see how all of this plays out, and I look forward to joining you in the comments. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the likes, all that good stuff. Appreciate you, and I hope that you're having a fantastic Saturday and enjoyed watching lots of football.